When you are reading through the scope of work in your project, can you tell me how the scope of work is structured? What it contains? What is the order of the definition of the scope of work? Can you able to realize by reading through your scope of work documents? What is the structure? How it is? What are the various items they are defining within the scope of work?
Definition of the project description, then deliverables, timeline, cost, like that. And then, like, I mean, I'm just saying what is there usually in a contract.
Okay. When you look at the any scope of work, it is generally structured in this manner. They talk about the executive summary of the scope of work, and they talk about the product details, what size, shape, functionality, and performance expected from the product. And then they talk about the technicalities, standards, and methodology, technology, procedures to be used in the project. And then they talk about quality aspects, and then they talk about test aspects, and then talk about acceptance requirements, and then they talk about test maintenance and other aspects. Finally, they will say project exclusions. Project exclusions.
Sorry,
This
didn't get you.
is the way
Project.
it is structured.
Is it like written somewhere so we can write them or something? Because I think this is important for us to memorize, no?
Which one? Which one you are talking about?
The scope, how it is
Yeah, of course
structured.
it is here.
Structure of scope of
It's
work.
already here. I'm just explaining you at a high level. So I want you to understand the concept, nothing to memorize here.
Okay.
In project management, you have nothing to memorize.
Okay.
Important is you need to understand the concept, understand the process. That's all.
Okay.
Whenever any questions they ask you, you can easily answer.
Okay.
There's no memorization required in project management at all. But we need to understand the concept.
I just didn't get the last thing you said while you were explaining. The last part, what you said.
Exclusions.
Exclusion. Okay. Project exclusions. Okay.
Yes. So basically what we are trying to define in the scope of work is what is included in this project, what is not included in this project. Such a level of clear definement must be available in this scope of work. Then it is called as good scope of work. Generally, when the scope of work is not clear, what will happen? They try to execute the work based on the available information. Finally, when they complete the deliverable, when the customer or the stakeholder come for inspection, what they will do? This is not the deliverable I have expected. I have expected it differently, whereas you have produced it differently. Why it is happening? Because scope is not clear. This is what will happen when the scope is not clear. That's why in project management, in the planning processes, the first step in the planning work is collect the detailed requirements from the stakeholders, develop the scope of work by integrating the various requirements nicely, by defining the project work in such a way what is included in this project and what is not included in this project. And then we review with the stakeholders and get their sign off to say, yes, this scope is final. When they say, yes, this scope is final, then only we move it to the planning work. Otherwise, we will not move to the planning work. Why? Even if you move to the further planning work, your plans cannot get finalized because your scope itself is not final. So if you keep changing the scope, your plan also need to keep changing. Then what is the point of doing the planning and wasting our effort? So our first step in the planning work is getting the scope finalized and getting the sign off before we move into the real planning. I will explain to you in the further processes. So here, that's what is happening here. When I say here scope of work, scope refers to all the work involved in creating the products of the project, and the processes we are utilizing them in creating the product. This is what we are defining within the project scope. But there are two elements we need to know as a high level in the scope of work. One is product scope, other one is project scope. What is product scope? It defines the features and functions of the product required for this product. Features and functions of the product to be included. How will you ensure that it is completed? The completion is measured against the requirement. If you achieve the requirements, you fulfill the product scope. What is project scope? The work that must be carried out to deliver the product of the project, meaning methods, standards, technology, processes, procedures you are going to utilize in achieving the product of the project is defined within the project scope. The completion is measured against the plan, meaning creating scope planning, schedule planning, cost planning, quality planning, and so on. All these plans are achieved. That means you fulfilled the project scope. So you fulfilled the entire project scope. That's why I'm saying here, to ensure a successful project, both product and project scope must be well integrated. So when I say project scope management, the processes designed in this knowledge area is required to ensure the project includes all the work required. See the point? The project includes all the work required with a focus of only the work required to complete the project successfully. If you are doing any work which are not related to the completion of the project deliverables, you are wasting your time. You are wasting your resources. That's why when it will happen, when the scope is not clear, that's what will happen. That's why here we are making sure that it includes all the work required and only the work required to successfully complete the project. That's why I'm saying here, managing the project scope primarily concerned with the defining and controlling what is included and what is not included in the project. Okay, what is the final result of this planning work in the scope management? Is the project scope statement. We generally call it as scope of work, right? But the terminology in project management is project scope statement. That is the final scope of work. It's called as project scope statement. Of course, that is our basis for managing and measuring the performance during the execution. Based on this scope of work only, we develop the plans and then we are executing. We can easily measure the performance. At a very high level, I can say product descriptions, deliverables are defined, acceptance criteria are defined, project exclusions are defined. This is the very high level statement about the project scope statement. Now you understand the scope of work. For the next thing, WBS. Have you heard this terminology? WBS?
Yes.
What is that?
Don't know the definition of it.
Work breakdown structure. Yes. Okay. WBS is work breakdown structure. What is work breakdown structure? Now, in the last section, I discussed about the scope of work, right? In the projects, when we say scope of work, it's not a simple document. You may have a volume of architectural work, volume of mechanical, electrical, IT, and other work. You may have multi-volume of documents, right? So when you complete your scope of work development, you as a project manager, your table is basically filled. Why? Multi-volume of scope of work documents in your table. When you look at the scope of work, what you will feel? Imagine a big project, huh? Don't take small project. You keep it in your mind. When you talk about it, always you must think about big project. Big effort. So what you will feel generally? Oh my God. how I am going to plan and finish this project. This is what you will feel when you see the documents. Because when I complete the scope of development, my table have two key documents available. One is the multi-volume of requirements collected from the stakeholders, and then we have integrated those requirements into the scope of work. I have the multi-volume of scope of work document in my table. So I feel like, oh, this is too much. How I am going to plan and finish this project? You will feel very tough. But it is easier. So in order to make our life easier, what do we need to do? Why we need to keep the entire scope of work into detail and create the plan? Why not we break down the scope of work into the deliverables, which we are going to create in this project? So by reading through the scope of work, we are breaking down the project into the deliverables. Say, for example, you are from the construction industry, right?
Yeah, consultancy.
Okay, okay. Consultancy means all construction projects. Okay.
True.
Now, let's take a building project. I have a volume of scope of work in my hand. So I'm reading the scope of work. I divide them into, say, substructure. What is substructure? Below the ground, right? Superstructure, architectural work, mechanical work, electrical work, IT work, infrastructure work. So the entire scope of work only comprises of these deliverables at a high level. So when I say substructure, I may divide them into, say, basement one, basement two, and then superstructure I divide into structural work, architectural work, finishing work. I may break down. So I'm breaking the scope into deliverables until which is called work package. The deliverable, which are smaller in size, is called work package. I will show you this and look at this structure. It is a project breakdown of scope into deliverables. I am breaking the project into phase one, phase two, deliverable one. When I look at the deliverable two, still is bigger. So I divided into another two deliverables. Or still bigger. So I divided into three work packages. So what I am trying to do here, I am trying to break down the entire scope of work into deliverable oriented components in order to make my life easier in planning, executing, and handing over the project to the stakeholders. So which makes my life easier. So when I look at this structure of the breakdown of the project deliverables, what I will feel? Or when the team looks at it, what they will say? Sir, these are the deliverables we are going to produce. No problems. We have produced such a deliverables in the past. So it makes them to understand the project better. We can able to visualize the whole project. We can see the whole project deliverables in this structure, right? So once you visualize the whole project, then easier for you to plan, execute, control, and close out. What is your biggest difficulty in the project? You are not able to understand the project. If you are not able to understand the project, everything becomes difficult. So, in order to make our life easier in planning, executing, and controlling, we are creating this W. And visualize the breakdown structure. Deliverables are bigger. If you try to plan and manage, you are facing difficult.
Voice is breaking again, sorry.
So when the deliverable is smaller size, yes. When you are having bigger deliverables, it is hard for you to plan, manage. Many things very difficult to understand. So that's why we are breaking down into smaller elements. When the deliverable is smaller in size, easy for you to plan, easy to determine the methodology, technology standards, easy to assess, everything will become easier. The lowest level in the WBS is called work package. Lowest level in the WBS is work package. When I use the terminology work package, what does that mean? It is smallest size of deliverable. It's a smallest size of deliverable, which will be easy for me to plan and execute. I will explain you further. So, when I say WBS is the process of subdividing the project deliverable and project work into smaller and more manageable components. The work breakdown will smoothen the way for estimating the project cost, time, scheduling resources, and determining the quality control later in the planning process. Project progress will be based on the estimates and measurements assigned to the WBS. What does that mean? Whenever you are talking about how is the project going, I don't know, sir. Let me check. Whereas when I say how is the subsection doing, how is the architectural package? How is the electrical package? Is this going well, sir, according to the plan? So easy to understand the progress when you are measuring based on the package. You can see here, this chart will help you. WBS is going to be basis for many things. Networking, which is the sequencing of work, is determined based on WBS. Schedule development is done based on WBS. Cost estimation is being done based on WBS. The risk analysis of the project is done based on the packages. Organizational structure is determined based on WBS. Which departments are responsible for which packages are being determined. Staffing is determined based on WBS. Control of the project element is determined based on WBS. Measurement of progress is determined based on WBS. So WBS is going to be basis for many things throughout the project lifecycle. This is one of the sample. This is another sample from the Primavera output. By end of the planning, our scheduling work, we can able to print out like this, the WBS layout, where we can see each package, what the cost of this package, scheduled start date, scheduled end date, who is the person responsible for accompanying so that we will have better control of the various projects being produced in the project. The next is, I can say it is one of the most important project management tools. It serves as a foundation for planning, estimating, and project control. It serves as a deterrent to scope change. What does that mean? WBS serves as a deterrent to scope change. What does that mean? For example, one of the stakeholders come to the progress meeting during the execution, asking me, no, I want to have this deliverable as soon as possible. Certainly, we never heard about this deliverable at all so far. So how will you answer to me? Sir, let us look at the WBS. If the WBS is, this particular deliverable is in the WBS, yes, sir, you will get according to the schedule. But if it is not in the WBS, sorry, sir, it is not part of the plan. So any deliverables not in the WBS is not part of the plan. With the stakeholders in requesting unnecessary changes. This was the meaning of it serves as a deterrent. So whenever they are trying to come up with a change to the scope of work, the first thing you need to do, sir, let us look at the WBS. See whether the deliverable is in the WBS. If it is not there, sorry sir, it is not part of the project. If it is not part of the project, you cannot request for a new delivery. You need to go for initiation process again. You need to go back to the sponsor. So this is deterring. So the final result of the scope planning is scope baseline. What is that? Scope baseline. That's the final result of the scope planning. What is scope baseline contains? It contains 3 documents. One is the project scope statement, which is scope of work. Second one is WBS, we know. The third one is WBS dictionary. Third one is WBS dictionary. These 3 together is called the scope baseline. We know project scope statement, I explained in detail. WBS you understand very well. What is WBS dictionary? So let us take an example. Architectural package. Architectural package. One of the delivery. There are various elements related to the architectural package we need to manage during the life cycle. Which revision of requirements documentation we have used for finalizing this scope of work for this package? Which revision of scope of work we are using for this package? What are the various contractual conditions and obligations related to this package? What is the milestones related to this package? What are the quality standards and requirements related to this package? What are the acceptance criteria related to the package? There are many aspects we need to manage, which are all available in this planning outputs, right? Which is cannot be in a single. When you want to, while you are managing the project, what we do, we create a WBS dictionary, a chart indicating what is the revision of scope of work for this package. So we are referring to all the key elements we need to manage. We are bringing the references into the WBS dictionary. So while you are managing the deliverable, you know exactly what we need to follow in order to get this deliverable completed and hand over to the stakeholder. It makes learn by you. That's called WBS dictionary. What is baseline basically? We have a scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, these are the 4 baselines normally used in the project. What is baseline?
Baseline is it is like the basic target, the first set target. Like you have a baseline program.
Yeah, okay, baseline program. What do you mean by baseline program? In this first target only. And do you have third target also?
Can't hear you actually. Your
No,
voice
what do you mean by first target, second target? No.
Yeah, based on the program.
There's no first target, second target.
Can't hear you.
No, baseline. Tell me what's your understanding of baseline. Okay, let's take an example of schedule development, schedule baseline. Okay, how is the schedule baseline derived or established in the project? Firstly, we came up with the revision 0 schedule, right? When you come up with revision 0 schedule, what you will do? You will distribute to the stakeholders. for review and feedback.
Hmm.
To see whether all the requirements are covered, all the deliverables are covered, whether the sequence are right, all this being analyzed, right? Including procurement aspects, contractors appointment, material procurement, order, fabrication, delivery, shipment, all being considered, right? So everybody reviews and give you the feedback. And then you are revising it again to revision 1. When you complete revision 1, you distribute it, call for a meeting, you are discussing with the stakeholders and they are giving their comments. And then you are revising it to revision 2, like this, right? When we reach to the revision 4, all the stakeholders said, this plan is perfect. This schedule is perfect. This schedule is workable, achievable, realistic.
Hmm.
Then it becomes baseline. That is our basis for measuring our schedule performance. You don't have any baseline. How will you measure your progress to say whether I'm doing good or not good? By end of the planning, you need to establish this is the basis for measuring our performance during execution. That's called baseline. Meaning we got the buy-in of the stakeholders into our plan. The main purpose of the planning work is to define our strategy and approach which we are going to use in managing this project. While you are doing this, you are producing the plans, you are circulating to the stakeholders, receiving their feedback and revising the plan accordingly. You are going for multiple revisions, right? Why you are doing that? Why are you doing multiple revisions? You want to get the buy-in of the stakeholders. Your success of the project depends on how well the stakeholders engage into the project work and implementing our plan. You are not going to implement, you are going to oversee. The implementation is by the different stakeholders, subcontractors, suppliers, and so on, right? You need to get the buy-in of the stakeholders. The stakeholders must believe your plans are workable, achievable, realistic. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It just gets disconnected sometimes. Otherwise, it's okay.
Because it's just internet is not stable. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. Yeah, no, we can hear you, but sometimes it gets disconnected.
So
No.
in the planning, yeah, it's internet ups and down, I think. So, in implementing your plans. That's the key point in the planning work. Also, you must remember, whenever we establish the baseline, nobody is allowed to change the baseline. Nobody has authority to change the baseline, including project manager. So there may be a question comes to you, when will you change the baseline? The baselines can only be changed for the approved changes. The baselines can only be modified for the approved changes. Who is approving the changes?
Client.
The changes are being approved by change control board. Change control board. So every project for managing the changes, we are forming a change control board, which contains discipline managers, project manager, main contractor, another key stakeholders, all in the change control board. So Whenever changes are proposed by the different stakeholders, the board reviews and they have given authority to approve the change or reject the change. So only when the changes are approved in the change control board, we can modify the baseline. Keep that in mind. It is not only for scope baseline, it is for all the baseline. So normally 4 baselines are used in the project: scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, performance measurement baseline. What is performance measurement baseline? Which is the integration of scope, time, cost, which is called performance measurement baseline. The next step is control scope. What do you mean by control scope? We have finalized the scope in the planning, we move to the execution. The execution is ongoing, we are executing the scope of work. So what do we need to do now? We need to periodically measure whether we are executing the work according to the scope baseline. So we measure our action with our scope baseline to see whether we are executing the work as per the scope baseline or there are any variances from the scope baseline. If there are variances, we need to take necessary corrective action to improve the scope performance so that we will be able to achieve the project work aligned with our scope baseline. This is for the scope control. But in order to achieve that, there are 2 techniques commonly used. One is called variance analysis, other one is called trend analysis. Variance analysis and trend analysis. What is variance analysis? We are measuring our performance periodically. It could be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, depending on the project. So when we are measuring our progress currently, we are determining our current performance. When we determine our current performance, we are comparing with our baseline, which is scope baseline, to see whether we are aligned with the baseline or there are variances. It could be sometimes positive variances, meaning you are doing better than the scope baseline. You are supposed to complete only 5 deliverables, you finish 10 deliverables. Okay, you are doing better. Or you are supposed to complete 10 deliverables, you only achieved 5 deliverables. That means you are having negative variance. When you are identifying a variance, what will you do? You are having, say, 20% negative variance from the scope baseline. 20% negative variance from the scope baseline. What will you do? Will you leave it like this? No. You need to take action. So what will you do? You need to come up with a necessary corrective action to improve the scope performance, so that our performance can be improved to achieve the scope of work as per the scope baseline. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
How will you come up with the action plan? You understand now? 20% negative variance. How will you come up with the action plan?
Like you will have resource like we discussed earlier. No? You will add more resource or something like that.
Add more resources, change the methodology, change the technology. Various options available with you. How will you decide to increase the resources? Every problem you are facing, you are going to increase the resources?
No, can't do it.
It depends on.
Sorry?
How will you determine this?
You will, yeah, I mean, you will see the problem, right? What is causing the delay? You'll find the delay.
Yes.
And then you will address it, right?
You must analyze what are the contributory factors result of this variance. What are the contributory factors? What are the reasons behind this variance? If we do not understand what are the reasons behind this variance, what are the actions you are coming up with will not work. Maybe our problem is methodology, but you are increasing the resources, which will not help you. unless you solve the methodology problem, right? So you need to analyze what are the contributory factors that result of this variance. Accordingly, we will be able to come up with a appropriate corrective actions or preventive action to improve the scope performance. That is called variance analysis. Basically, which is called, we call it as after the fact look at it. After the fact of variance happened, we are looking at the factors that cause this variance, so that we will be able to come up with a appropriate corrective action to improve the performance, which is being applied to not only for the scope control, it is also for schedule control, cost control, all the control processes, the same techniques being utilized. The second technique is trend analysis. What is trend analysis? Say, for example, when I'm measuring the progress periodically, every 2 weeks I'm measuring. First measurement was -5% negative variance. Second measurement was 15% negative variance. Third measurement was 20% negative variance. Fourth measurement was 25% negative variance. If you project that this, you analyze this past performance, we can able to project the future. Where are we heading towards? Are we heading in a negative direction? Are we heading in a positive direction? You can easily understand. Accordingly, that is called trend analysis. Whenever I say trend analysis, this technique is analyzing the past performance and projecting the future performance.
Okay.
There is another terminology they may always test you, which is called scope creep. Scope creep. What is scope creep? Uncontrolled changes in the project is termed as scope creep. What do you mean by uncontrolled changes? For example, one of the stakeholders come to the meeting. I want to make a change to my deliverable. We said, okay, sir, we will change for you. Another stakeholder asking, I want to make changes to my packet. Okay, sir, we will change for you. You keep changing like this. What will happen?
Your overall
You will
scope-
not have any defined scope in your hand. You will end up in a messy situation at the end. Right?
Right.
So when you want to make a change, you need to analyze it. What is the impact on scope? What's the impact on time? What's the impact on cost? What's the impact on quality? And we need to make adjustment to these areas. If you don't do any adjustment, you keep changing the scope, that become a scope creep situation. That's why I call uncontrolled expansion to the product or project scope without adjustment to the time, cost, resources is referred as scope. Okay. The next step is in the scope management is validate scope. Validate scope. What do you mean validate scope? Now, let me explain to you. During the planning, you finalize the plans. You move into the execution. You are executing the scope of work. You are producing the project deliverables. When you are producing the project deliverables, as a project team, we need to check first whether we are producing the deliverables according to the stakeholders' requirements. Correct or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Where are you doing this? Which process you are doing, whether the deliverable being produced or completed in the project is according to the stakeholders' requirements. Who is doing this?
Usually done by the project manager. No, the PMC will do it. They will check, review. Normally in design there is a review process. In construction there is a IRW process.
What is the process called? What's the process called? Quality control.
Quality control.
Quality control. Basically, through the quality control process, we are verifying and confirming whether the deliverable has been completed correctly according to the stakeholder. That's what they are doing. They are not accepting the deliverable. They are only verifying and confirming, yes, this deliverable has been completed correctly according to the stakeholders. That's called quality control. When they do this exercise, they may say okay, or they may say not okay. When they say okay, what does that mean? Through the verification, they confirmed, yes, this deliverable meets the requirements of the stakeholders.
Okay.
They are called as verified deliverables. They are called as verified deliverables.
Verified.
Okay, what do you do with this deliverable? Now the quality control team confirms, yes, okay. What will you do with this deliverable? Okay, so we are so happy. We put this deliverable in our pocket, go home and sleep nicely. There's a further work to be done. Those deliverables are to be bring to this process in order to get the acceptance of the deliverable from the stakeholder. Acceptance to the completed deliverable. So we are bringing back to this process. From quality control process, we are bringing back to this process. Only the deliverables in that process. When the deliverables is not okay by the quality control team, what does that mean?
You have to revise it.
Yes. Meaning this deliverable does not meet all the requirements of the stakeholder. There are non-conformities. There are defects in the deliverable that you have completed. Then we go for defect repair, which is a separate process again. Right? So, what is the difference between validated scope process and the quality control process? That's what I'm defining here. In the validated scope process, we are getting the acceptance of the completed deliverables from the stakeholder. Whereas in the quality control process, we are checking the correctness of the deliverable. We are checking the correctness of the deliverable, whether it meets the quality requirements specified for the project. So, when will you go for validating the scope? Whenever the phase work is completed, say phase 1 is completed, you go for validation of the scope, or whenever the other deliverables are completed, you will go for verification again. So that's why I say this process is performed throughout the project life cycle. But what is the commonly used technique for validating the scope, which is inspection? What is inspection? You called for stakeholders inspection. When the stakeholder come for inspection, what they will do? They look at the deliverable. Oh, looks nice, fantastic, nice looking, nice shape. Okay, see you, bye bye. I like it. That's what they're going to do? No. They're going to measure, examine, test. They go through each and every requirement they give you. They will also check whether it is completed within the scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, within the quality standards and so on. Finally, they say, yes, acceptable. They give you sign off, right? They're getting the sign off, which is the acceptance of the completed deliverable from the stakeholder. Why we need the sign off? This is our proof end of the day to demonstrate we have completed the project deliverables successfully according to your requirements. Correct? So this kind of documentations are taken to the closing process to demonstrate we have achieved the project deliverable successfully. It's called as reviews, product reviews, walkthrough. These are the different terminologies being, or sometimes they call it as audit. These are the different terminologies used for the inspection technique, but all are referring to the same technique. So the result of this process is accepted deliverable. Very good. Let's take a short break, 10 minutes, and then we will continue.
Thank you.